Hey, welcome to the DayLife Mary show. It's me, DayLife Mary. There's a thunderstorm right now, and I'm just hanging out with my favorite little blackbirds that come around and eat little crumbs, and my little dragonflies that like to land on my fingers. Oh, as soon as I started this, it started really coming down. Maybe it's not the greatest idea to do this while it's raining this hard. I just had an inkling this might be the right time, though, so I thought I would get into it. Now, this is a new series that I'm starting. It's part of the DayLife Mary show, and it's called Closing Times, and it's where I talk about times that I'm closing times out. I have moved forward and I don't need to do those times anymore. And there's lots of private process about how I do close out times. But part of the public process for me for closing times out is going to be talking about it here on live. And Nick is asking, explain butter. I already have explained butter. It is Pleasure Matrix Private Relations. So you can check out t.me/butter. It's Butter's magazine, online magazine of sorts, if you want to see some of the content that Butter has been going into in the past. But up until now, it's been PR from the Pleasure Matrix's resident white woman. That's me, DayLife Mary. Hi. So the time that I'm closing out, that I'm gonna probably have a few videos, there's gonna be a few lives going into this, is the time of being cool. The time of being cool. Now this time, and just preface, I have a really hard time closing out times. So, maybe you have an easier time. Other times you want to pick up of mine that I've tried to or have supposedly closed out, you can go to Dobos, Day Hobos on Instagram and check out some times I have for sale over in the DayLife Pleasure Matrix thrift shop. But this time being cool, it's a time that I've cultivated basically since my father's death, okay? That's when I can trace it back to beginning to care about this. Now, is trying to be cool a trauma response for everyone? I'm not really sure. I couldn't tell you that. Did it have something to do with mine? Yes. So, yeah, since then is when it started. So when I went into 7th grade, I started hanging out with people that I thought were cooler than the people I had been hanging out with before. I used the energy harvested from a tragedy to do some shit, take some risks, along with like getting the fuck out of Maine and going to a boarding school. But this is really the seed of this whole time of caring about or being cool or trying to be cool. Coolness, clout, whatever you want to call it. Caring about clout is a little different and is connected. And this thing is really the biggest opening you create to the devil, to Satan, right? This hypnotic desire, maybe I would call it the hipster problem. Maybe not everyone it's their biggest in, but for most of the people I surrounded myself with, the type of person I am and where I came from, the being cool door and caring about being cool door is where the devil gets you and can control you really easily. And so why I'm going back so far about when this seed kind of germinated is, and it could even go further because I could talk about my parents being the original hipsters in my life. Like, and how that primed me for this. But in middle school, I wasn't exactly popular, but I wasn't exactly a nerd. I was in between in a lot of different groups. I went through all over the place. Like, I had my best friend was like a jock, and I was a tomboy until 5th grade. And then, like, I was friends with a lot of white trash kind of folks, which I was talking to the general the other day, who was like, when did that become like a word people just threw around and was not like offensive or even said to be offensive or whatever? But it's like, yeah, those people that I were friends with would later on, like, you know, get pregnant in high school and shit. We had like 50 Cent listening parties, and they like had Dale Earnhardt posters on their wall. But yeah, like I was saying, after my dad died, it was like the weird art kids. I really had like this kind of weird hate for popular kids that started to germinate around then, that only comes from like a weird type of jealousy, and it was lame. But like, I think what's important was that I was starting to chase people with like the most satanic clout at that point after my father died. That's the best way I can describe it. I was chasing people that had the most satanic clout. So the most clout in Satan's world, and what Satan deems as valuable or desirable or something you should chase or want, right? So I was starting to be a hipster and be into bands and all of these, like, you know, worshipping Satanists, be it David Bowie or Devo or whatever, like, getting really into being a hipster. And the friends I was surrounding myself with were like those types of people. I was getting really into like looking up the skirt of the Pain Matrix cultural underground and like wanting to be there and get there. I was like, I'm going to be an artist one day. I'm going to be part of that group, you know? And of course, when I was younger, I didn't think that these people were evil. I didn't see all of that shit. But subconsciously, that's who I was seeking out, right? Satan. And I think it's like something that's really evident at this time was that I wanted to be friends with these two girls in middle school, Lauren and Chloe, who were like the two people that did act in the most like clouded up ways, right? The girl Lauren was dating like 24-year-olds. She was like in 7th grade, so she was really just hanging out with the phebophiles. And the two of them, like, I would do bad things to be cool in their eyes, like skip class with them and do things that were not in my nature. I was like a nerdy kid and like a good student, and I just was rebelling after this traumatic moment and finding out the most clouded up kind of like seductive satanic kind of area, right? And the thing that's really funny about this is that girl Lauren, she went on to grow up and date and marry and have kids with like one of the people from Modest Mouse. So me in middle school finding the one girl that makes it out of a townie from Maine that makes it out to go be married to someone from Modest Mouse. So like, you can see where I was heading. And then going off to high school to go surround myself with the cream of the crop of the military intelligence cultural underground. People whose parents were literally famous musicians, artists, executives, dancers, editors of Vogue. Like, their daughter went to my school as a dancer. And I loved it, and I've talked about this somewhat before, but like, I loved being in proximity to these people, something that was a world very foreign to me. But really, I'm, you know, you're a continuation of your parents' story, right? They create you and their genetics, their DNA, literally. What they desire goes into you, and you continue it. That's why people have a lot of fucked up relationships between parents and children. Parents like to deny that that's what's happening. but so my mom did and my dad did care about coolness, and were out in the underground going to punk shows, whatever, like new wave, sorry. And my mom has her stories of brushes with fame in like a tiny way, just like, you know, being asked to hang out with Oingo Boingo like early on in her career after the concert and saying no, according to her story. But like, you know, them going to the Twin Peaks Hotel for their honeymoon. I was continuing that story, but it took some, like, who knows if it would have happened still without my father dying, or if that was a catalyst. But yeah, by high school, I was really, really getting into it. I was like, okay, I'm going to be one of the players in the visual art world of the cultural underground or overground. I still kind of wanted to be a famous artist, right? Like enough to have a studio and make paintings or whatever. And I did it totally New England style, where I just was like a machine, and like really like this work is gonna fucking make me like the best. I'm just gonna go hard and be like a young professional at 14 in high school. And yeah, like I was in high school really socially anxious, but like always wishing I was older or cooler, like hanging out with I wanted to hang out with college students when I was in high school. When I was in college, I wanted to hang out with people out of college. I was like, college is lame. Look at these people that don't even go. Like, that's so cool. They didn't even feel the need to. And the people that I thought I was the most kind of hypnotized by were people I didn't actually like even. It was this satanic hypnotized desire. It's not even what you really like. Like, I knew these people were stupid and apathetic, and like I knew it wasn't good that everyone was like into killing themselves with like drugs and lack of sleep and suffering for their art to be cool or whatever. I didn't actually like doing those things, and I was around people that did it even more than me and kind of was like huffing off of those people doing that. And the theme throughout all of this was that I was never comfortable just being me, and I was always clout chasing or caring what it looked like with like who I was around or partying with, or like what openings I went to at what apartment galleries. Like I was like, I had a shit-eating grin about it if I was somewhere cool with people who were like, even if I like could be like, oh, it's so lame that these people that go to SAIC are just like the sons and daughters of celebrities, and they like make horrible art, and they aren't interesting people, and they're jaded and narcissistic and stuck up, and know that, and like think that it's cool that they have that. But yet I was still attracted to it, even attracted to it through like hate liking, which is something that I will get into later. It's the ultimate hipsterdom is hate consumption. Like, you don't even like the thing, it's all done in hate. And by the way, I'm closing this time. The reason I was able to was because of something that just happened over the last year that finally just culminated and ended, and I wrote a long Twitter thread about it. And I wrote a piece in Butter magazine on Telegram about it. And this live series is going to just go really deep into what all went into that piece and my life leading up to it before closing this time. But yeah, like, I have to go deep. I have to go far back. And I think talking about SAIC is a really important part of it, because it really solidified the like obsession with the satanic underground, and me jostling for some type of position within that underground, and social climbing and living a lifestyle that could get me the most clout in that underground through whatever pathway I chose, which ended up being first through like visual art and conceptual art and the you know, crossover between kind of like poetry readings and performance art and stuff like that. And then got more focused after college, actually, into the underground, like, alternative comics scene. Even more niche than, like, I'm not talking like Chris Ware or like just like graphic novels. I'm talking about like people who were artists that were just like, my work is so abstract and so like conceptual or whatever. I'm just like breaking open alt comics even, and I'm like, it's so niche, it's disgusting for me to like try to describe it. But like, okay, just look up like 2D Cloud publishers or like Chicago Alternative Comics Expo Cake, or like Printed Matter New York City, Wowie Zonk like room at Toronto Comics Art Fest. Like, think of like people who are artists like with shows like Maren Carlson or like Adrian, whatever her name is, but then also have books that they sell at table festivals, etc. There, blah, blah, blah. Stupid. So that's where I was like getting into just being decrepitly jostling to be some certain type of hipster. And I was so jealous of people with most proximity to the fucking devil. So like people whose parents did the most successful worship of that shit, whether it be David Lynch, Sonic Youth, Cheech and Chong. These are all people that were around, their daughters and sons and whatever. And I just like, I didn't like the people, and I didn't like myself caring as much as I did, and yet showing such, everyone in those scenes shows such little vulnerability, zero vulnerability, and it feels horrible. And yeah, like even leaving school and being in Chicago and just in the scene, quote unquote, like I ended up hanging out at a tattoo house that was like an underground tattooing place where everyone just got together to tattoo each other, and like niche underground tattoo artists would be on tour and come through the place that I would hang out, and other artists and musicians, underground musicians, would come there, and everyone would just drink and do drugs and tattoo each other. And I just went there and I just drank, I smoked weed, and I didn't have one sober, vulnerable conversation with anyone there. And I quite often heard people being retarded and saying such stupid shit. And I was judgmental as fuck, but so unreal with everyone that I never would say out loud how dumb I thought anything was or how people were being. And I remember the closest I had to real relationships with any of those people were like the guy who was renting that space, that kind of was like one of the like people tying everyone together. And he was like someone that I had a crush on, and so I liked him and I would hang out there. A lot of the reason was for him. And like this ties into the kind of things I thought I wanted in terms of romance too, which is that I wanted like the most clouded up guy. And if you're a hipster, what's successful for you in relationship is like, oh, is my guy the most disgusting, least trying, kind of like gutter goblin demon who like did heroin but doesn't anymore, and is now like had roommates from the scene that like, and by the way, anyone who's famous in these scenes or makes it big is completely MI. So the people who are like, oh, they're cool, it's like, oh, they just had an op in their life that was their roommate and they didn't know. You don't know if your roommate's an op. So like that was cool that, oh, my boyfriend had an offer for roommates, or someone who was angling to be one, or performing those duties unknowingly and unwittingly. But yeah, like the people I liked were like, who's gonna be the most disgusting trash? That's what was clouded up. And like, not care the most, be the most depressed, be the most nihilistic, like have dark circles under their eyes, whatever. So the guy from the tattoo shit, Eddie, was one of those people. And, you know, people came through that were you would think like authentic whatever, and some of those people were, and the people that were from rich families huffed off of them, but a lot of the people that came through were just hiding, and they actually had their father write the screenplay for Airplane, Lily West, la 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 la, or their family was rich from Beverly Hills, or celebrities, and they pretended they lived in a squat house out of necessity or whatever. They didn't talk about their past. They were ashamed of their story. So this is what I was surrounding myself in. I literally escaped with only 2 or 3 tattoos. They're horrible. I'm really ashamed of these tattoos. I think they're retarded, and I am lasering them off my body as soon as I have the money and ability to do so. But I certainly felt really tickled pink to be hanging out with all those cool fucking people. Just a nerdy girl from Maine who was a fucking teacher's pet, you know? Now my boyfriends are like big losers. How authentic, Emily. Awesome. Yeah, I am sure you like the tattoos. Proves my point. Maybe I was a little sarcastic there. I'm not trying to be mean right now. I'm just, Yeah, so that was me doing my thing, caring about clout. Just caring about clout. It's so gross. Caring about the grossest people. And here's the thing. That environment, it's like this collective illusion held up by so many, like, sticky social mores where everyone's like, don't show vulnerability, don't show vulnerability. I'm cool, but I'm not gonna try because that's not cool. And like this, it's really, really hard to get out of that mindset, especially when you're surrounding yourself with people who are in that mindset. And honestly, like, who knows how much the people were in that mindset? Maybe not everyone. Do I really think that's true? No, though. People are pretty basic, and a lot of people are very similar. So at least people that were my archetype, my day type, and, like, other people as well, I'm sure, are all feeling a lot of similar shit, but outwardly expressing the same kind of stuff that everyone else is, and never letting on that that's what they're feeling like inside. That maybe they hate everyone around them. That maybe they wish they could, like, speak truthfully, or that maybe everyone's there to social climb and doesn't care about each other. And this is probably just like what you would think would be my peak caring about clout moment. But no, it isn't. Because, get this, then there's a bridge here. There's a bridge between me and that time and me going IRL and joining up with DayLife Army and doing the cult thing full time. And that is probably once I was really getting into conspiracy and I was dating my boyfriend at the time, Carl, who knew a lot more about conspiracy. I kind of went in and colonized him. I was interested in it because I had been gang stalked by the FBI. I knew it's like, it was something that piqued my interest and I was creeping around it, but I didn't go in full-time hard, and that's when I met Carl, and I was like, perfect. Here's the guy who's going to show me all the links, show me the cool references, show me the lizard people, fucking reptilian, fucking clone, glitch, fucking flat earth shit. And what I'm telling you now is this was like 2016, 16 when this was happening, all I was doing was the next level of hipster edgelording. I was not interested in these facts maybe for other reasons, if I'm going to be generous with myself, like knowing the truth and finding God, etc., etc. Some of those things did happen, but the overarching thing that was all involved was that I was caring about being the next cool, the next big thing. Oh my gosh, so underground. Only schizophrenics used to know about this shit, but I'm cool. I know about it now. And I would go around at parties and talk shit about flat earth, talk shit about clones, talk shit about reptilians, and be like, maybe drunk so I didn't have to actually have that much vulnerability. Perhaps taking a risk, because yes, not many people were talking about it back then. But really, I colonized my boyfriend who was ostracized and like lost a bunch of friends because he was talking about like FEMA camps and reptilians in 2011 or some shit. So I did it just enough time where it was like, I got some clout from it, right? I didn't get a white girl did it. I didn't get ostracized. I didn't go all the way though, because some of the shit I believed would have gotten me ostracized. So, I didn't talk about Pizzagate when I was like at my DIY underground art show, having a meeting with all these people talking about how Pizzagate people are crazy and how dare people not like Hillary Clinton. Because they're like apparently the coolest people in Chicago. They liked Hillary Clinton in 2015. But yeah, this is the bridge between me, like, going from just hipster art world to like hipster conspiracy edgelord world. And that, along with, you can go back to my lives about my own story, just telling my story, that coupled with the ex that we got gang stalked together, him committing suicide, really, like, the impetus to do DayLife Army and do the cult shit full time really popped off about then. And that, my friends, is I think where I'm going to end this today, because maybe I was just thinking cult shit was the final edge in my edgelordingdom, hipsterdom. But oh man, did things change? And I'm going to go into it next time. But if you're watching this, make a wash of belief. Washing is how you sacrifice ego and belief from the pain matrix, which is where your belief is all stored and tied up into. Your belief is stored primarily in your financial currency, in your social capital. When I'm on lives and I'm telling you to wash, I'm telling you to make a financial wash. So you take your belief out of the pain matrix and put it into pleasure matrix expansion, into resources and real-time expansion of a matrix based on 4% pain for 96% pleasure. So washes can be made to cash.me/$washitall, paypal.me/washitall, and you can DM me for other links. There's a bunch of other ways I accept on behalf of the laundruss and automat washes of belief. So make a wash, and I'll be back with part 2 later. Bye.